Dillian Whyte really is a warrior. I mean, say what you want to say about him, but the guy has a massive heart. He is doggedly determined. And no matter how many setbacks he's faced throughout his boxing career and throughout his life, he always seems to come back defiant. You know, I spoke recently about a number of people during my lifetime who I've seen get knocked out in street fights, and how for some of them, or with some of them, should I say, their entire personality appeared to change overnight. They went from being bad boys to church boys in the blink of an eye. But there were a few others who got humiliated, knocked out, etc., that didn't turn humble. In fact, getting humiliated like that lit a fire underneath them, and they just became even more of a bad boy after that experience. And that's the kind of person Dillian Whyte is. Like, no matter what happens to him, he comes back with a vengeance. His mentality is absolute pure warrior. And I can only commend him on that. But at the same time, it is a double-edged sword. Because a guy as brave as Dillian Whyte, a guy as defiant as Dillian Whyte, maybe doesn't realize how much danger he's in. And I say this in relation to the fact that Dillian Whyte has once again called out Deontay Wilder. He has said that Wilder is the biggest fraud in all of sport. He basically said that Wilder was crying crocodile tears at that press conference following the Robert Helenius fight. You know, talking about how much he cares for these fighters out there who get seriously injured and what have you. And so let me quote Dillian Whyte here. He said, if I can find it, even fake crying at the press conference the other day, I was just like, you just make me sick. I heard that Wilder still doesn't want to fight me. He is the biggest fraud in all of sport, never mind boxing. Who doesn't fight his #1 contender for over 4 years and then claims he's the greatest of all time? He hasn't actually beaten anyone of note yet. He is just a cowardly con man. Okay, so those are the words of Dillian Whyte. Now, I think that the criticism of Deontay Wilder regarding avoiding Dillian Whyte for all those years when Whyte was #1 contender is obviously a valid criticism. Deontay Wilder was a coddled and protected champion. There's no doubt about it. I've seen some people, and this to me is an absolutely bizarre claim. I've seen some people say that Deontay Wilder has a better resume than Anthony Joshua. I mean, to me, that is absolutely bizarre. Does Deontay Wilder have anyone on his record like Vladimir Klitschko? Does he have anyone on his record like Alexander Povetkin? Does he have anyone on his record like Joseph Parker? Does he have anyone on his record even like an Andy Ruiz? The best guy on his record is Luis Ortiz. How good is Luis Ortiz? I mean, we just saw him lose to Andy Ruiz. So anyway, it's not even just comparing Ruiz to Ortiz. There's a whole list of fighters that Anthony Joshua has beat who are better than the guys that Deontay Wilder has beat. Who's Wilder beat? Johan Duropa, Berman Stavern, Artur Spilka, Gerald Washington. I mean, come on, people. Anyway, that weird, bizarre claim aside, yeah, as I say, Deontay Wilder was a coddled champion, and the only time he stepped out to actually take a risk outside of PBC was with Tyson Fury, who at the time, I have to imagine he thought was going to be an easy touch because he was coming off this long layoff and he'd lost all this weight. But obviously that backfired. And the first fight went well enough for Wilder's people to want to put him back in a second time with Tyson Fury, of course, with a rematch clause attached. But that fight didn't turn out anything like his people expected. They thought he would maybe continue on from the 12th round of the first fight and take Fury out, but Fury took him out. So that was what that was. And then, of course, they triggered the rematch because what are you going to do at that point? You know, Wilder, mid-30s, how long is he really going to be a viable money-making machine? They had to take the rubber match with Tyson Fury. In any event, Dillian Whyte saying that Deontay Wilder is this and that is all well and good. And we all criticize Deontay Wilder. But I've always said that if they put Dillian Whyte in the ring with Deontay Wilder, I'm picking Wilder 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. Just from a stylistic perspective. And I was saying this even prior to Dillian Whyte's punch resistance deteriorating significantly over the past couple years. Even when Dillian Whyte looked a bit more sturdy, I would have picked Wilder over him. and even more so now. So the point I'm making here is you got to be careful what you wish for. As much as I admire Dillian Whyte's heart and resilience and defiance, I would be genuinely concerned for him, to be honest with you, going into a Deontay Wilder fight. Genuinely concerned for his health. I'm not so sure that he's actually recovered from that Povetkin knockout. And I don't mean mentally, because clearly he's recovered mentally, but I mean neurologically. There are certain things, as I understand it, there are certain things that don't show up on brain scans. You know, certain neurological issues that a brain scan can't detect. So I'm not convinced. I'm not saying this definitely is the case. I'm just saying I'm not sure. I'm not convinced yet that he's actually recovered neurologically from the Povetkin defeat. And of course, that was compounded by the knockout defeat to Tyson Fury. So yeah, that's the way I feel about it. Let me know how you guys feel about it. Even though the stuff he's saying about Deontay Wilder might be valid up to a certain extent, but is he trying to bite off more than he can chew by still pursuing this Deontay Wilder fight? Let me know what you guys think. If you're tired of the biased narratives and mass censorship on mainstream platforms, and you want to be part of a community of critical thinkers who love free speech just as much as you do, then come and join me on Patreon and access my weekly no-holds-barred, censorship-free podcast where we lift the lid on a wide variety of controversial topics. It's not mainstream friendly, it's not politically correct, but that's the whole point. We dare to stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. Just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called Hatman Hot Topics. You'll gain access to a minimum of 2 hours of exclusive content every single week, including podcasts, videos, interviews, live stream Q&As, as well as my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. Not to mention a vast back catalog of hundreds of hours of previous episodes. You can listen via the Patreon app with the option to download in high-quality MP3. We've also got an Element group where you can come and chat and hang out with myself and other members. Unlike Discord, it has full end-to-end encryption, it's decentralized, and it's 100% censorship-free. You can also send voice notes as well as much larger audio and video files than you can on Discord. So come and sign up on Patreon. There's no contract, there's no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a cup of coffee. So I'll see you over there. I'm out.